Alright, here we go. Our first tasting by Storytellers Distillery, using one of our first releases, Volume 1, Australian Dry Gin. Let's get into it. Welcome guys, my name's Lachlan Gunner. I am the head distiller for Storytellers Distillery, and I'm actually really excited to be showing you guys our product today, virtually online. So hopefully you've got your gin, either in bag form or in bottle form. I prefer the bags. And let's get into it. What else I've got here is, I've got a couple of mixing glasses here. I've got a tasting glass, just like this one here. And I've also got a glass for mixing. So this is our highball glass. I'm gonna put the highball glass aside for now, and we'll be focusing on the mixing glass. I've also got some dehydrated strawberries there for garnishing later on, some ice, some homemade soda water. Of course, I've also got a mouse for some reason, look at that. Some scissors to cut open our baggie, and that should be everything we need, so let's get into it. A bit of a background about the distillery. So we launched in November last year, so we're quite fresh. We've only got the one release at the moment, but we've got our distillery door opening up soon, so we're hoping to release a couple more products alongside that. Our first product is called Volume 1. It's an Australian dry gin, and the purpose behind it is to be as approachable as possible for gin drinkers and also non-gin drinkers. So no matter who you are, you don't like gin, you like gin, you're gonna like this, right? Our distillery is going to be based in Brompton, so we're in Adelaide. It's just a 5-minute drive northwest of the CBD here, and it's going to be a bar. It's going to have the still there. In fact, these already have been made out of the still in Brompton. But yeah, it's going to be absolute barrel of laughs. Can't wait to invite you over. Cool. So let's do it. Let's cut open a baggie. Let's have a little taste. Before starting Storytellers, I was a bartender for 8 years, and in that time, I went through maybe 5 or 6 different training sessions on how to taste different things, from wine through to beer through to spirits. I've got 60 mils here, so I'm only going to put half of this in, 30 mils, and I've got my highball over here, so I'm just going to pour the last 30 mils into that just for later on. Great. So yeah, I sat through all these training sessions, and the purpose of each one was to try and experience the essence of the product, as well as it had been designed by the distiller, by the brewer, by the winemaker. And you'll notice some strong differences between tasting beer, tasting wine, and tasting spirits. When it comes to tasting spirits, it's the ABV that's sort of the main culprit that changes the way that something tastes. You're gonna have a higher ABV. If you're sticking your nose in, taking big whiffs or taking big gulps, you're gonna be burning your taste buds or your smell receptors. So let's avoid doing that to start with. But aside from that, quite often it's the same. You wanna start by looking at whatever you're tasting, looking at how it behaves in the glass, whether or not, if it needs to be chilled or not, if it's cold or if it's room temperature. Then you go in for a smell, a taste, and then you try and think about what it would work best with. So our gin, Volume 1, Australian dry gin, designed to be quite approachable. Let's first look at it. So it's colorless, maybe with a tinge of citrus there, and that's just due to some of the botanicals in the gin basket. If you swirl it around in the glass, you'll notice how strongly it clings to the side of the glass, and that's what we call the viscosity. So especially with gin, the more flavor it has, quite often it's because it's got more oils in from those botanicals. And when you mix oil with water like this, it becomes quite viscous. So you'll see with our gin, we do have quite a lot of flavor compounds in there. It is quite viscous and sticks to the glass. Cool. Let's go in for a bit of a sniff. I'm not going to stick my nose in there like a winemaker would. I'm going to simply waft it in front of my nose and just search for those aromas. If anything's cold at this point, you're gonna get a lot less aromatics, but this is quite nice. And this is my favorite part about the gin, because this is the first impression you get of anything that you drink, and I'm really quite proud with what's come out of the aromatics of our gin. As this product's designed to be quite approachable, we wanted to hero a fruit, and we decided to hero the strawberry, hence our dehydrated strawberries we're going to be looking at a little bit later on. But if you use too much strawberries in the distillation process, it becomes quite jammy. So you can't use too much unless you're going for that sort of flavor. We wanted something fresh, so we balanced that out with a strawberry gum, which is a native gum leaf to northern New South Wales. And that really provides the strawberry flavors and balances out that jamminess. Anything we do put in the gin basket, that's what's going to really come out on the nose. We opt to put our lighter style botanics in the gin basket for its more delicate extraction, and those same lighter style aromatics are the ones that jump out the glass first. So when we go for a whiff, obviously heaps of strawberry. A lot of that's from the strawberry gum rather than the freeze-dried strawberries that we use. And then a little bit of citrus, saltbush, munchies, that sort of thing. Love it. Let's go for a sip, shall we? Again, don't go too hard, because if you go too hard, you're going to start having some bad experiences. Trust me. Awesome. So the first thing that hits me is the booze. We bottle at 43%, which is a little bit higher than, I guess, the standard gins you'd find as a house gin in most bars. The reason for that is we want it to punch through with tonic water and soda water in our mixers. You definitely have the reinforcement of those aromatics that we were sniffing and wafting earlier, but now they're sort of reinforced by the heavier oils from the botanicals, things like juniper, coriander seed, and orris root. They're a bit more on the savory and earthy side, and that really balances out the sweetness from the higher volatiles. And what I really like about it is a level of spice as well that comes through on the palate, especially when the gin's been cooled down and some of those lighter aromatics don't come out as much. The spicy notes really come through. That specifically is from cardamom and native pepperberry that we use in our gin. Great. So now is probably a good time to talk about what would be the appropriate mixer for this gin. We decided to go for soda water because we want to experience the true nuances of the gin. It works great with tonic. It's the juniper backbone that really punches through in that case. But also think about cocktails. This sort of gin is quite a delicate gin. It would probably be lost on some of the heavier cocktails like a red snapper with tomato juice. Again, you do have that juniper backbone, so it would, and the higher ABV, so that would sort of punch through. But this gin really shines in some of the lighter styles. I'm talking aviations, martinis especially, even a Negroni, a lighter style Negroni where maybe the vermouth doesn't overpower the rest of the drink. Then the gin, I think, would really stand out, be absolutely great. Cool, so let's have a mixer, shall we? Let's get this out of the way. Bring over the pre-prepared highball. Highballs are great, absolutely love them. It's my favorite sessionable drink on a nice sunny Sunday afternoon. Let's start with some ice, shall we? I've got silicone molds where just create larger ice cubes rather than the small bagged ice that you get at the service station. That's great, but the surface area to volume ratio of this ice means that it doesn't melt as quickly while still keeping the drink cold. Fill up the glass as much as you can with ice. Less tonic water, less soda water, stronger drink. That's a plus. When it comes to adding a mixer, I'll be adding a little bit of soda water today. I only just like to add a little touch to start with, and that's just so that we can use our mixing spoon just to incorporate the gin into the mixer without having to stir the entire bubbly drink. And you don't want to start stirring something with bubbles because you start losing those bubbles quite quickly. The reason we want to blend it into the drink at all, I mean, of course you want to taste the gin, right? But if we put a little bit in a mixer in with a little bit of soda water, then what you're doing is you're starting to lighten the viscosity and the density of the liquid, so that if I then add some more like I am now down the side of the glass, the densities are closer to each other and they'll mix a lot easier because of that. If the densities of two things are too different, you start seeing layering effects, so we don't want that. It's gonna give that a little kick like that, and some dehydrated strawberries. Now these dehydrated strawberries take a little bit of time for the liquid to absorb and the flavors to come out, but they're absolutely great. If you buy a few punts of strawberries, they start to go off. Chop them up, put them in the oven, let them dry out, put them in a jar, Bob's your uncle. Cool, so that's a Storytellers Volume 1 highball with soda water. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of our virtual tasting today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. You can find my email address on the website, leave a comment below. We've got some really exciting things happening with the distillery with some upcoming releases. So we're most active on Instagram, but make sure you follow us there, subscribe to our YouTube channel to be a part of the next tasting as well with our new products. And yeah, from everyone here at Storytellers, bon appetito, enjoy your gins. Thanks for being here. Cool, we done? And then on here.